Every brand tells a story, and they are the storytellers, the Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwallahs. He helms marketing for one of India's largest and most respected automotive companies. Shubhranshu Singh is the Chief Marketing Officer of Tata Motors' commercial vehicle business. With over 2 decades of global brand building experience on some of the most admired brands across industries, he has launched, renovated and grown some of the most iconic Indian and global brands for Royal Enfield, Unilever, Visa and Star TV. He is the recipient of more than 40 Indian and international awards for advertising, marketing and brand building, including the D&AD Pencil, Effies, Envies and many others. A prolific writer and a columnist, particularly on brand design, consumer sociology, technology and trends, he is our Brandwallah.
Artificial intelligence is going to speed up on both creativity on the origin end and also on the deployment end. We are very optimistic. I am personally seeing whatever I can in terms of consumer trends. AI-driven content is also a bit blah because at the end of the day, the primacy is of the idea of human creativity, and AI is a speed tool. AI is great epiphany, but it may or may not be great content. So the synthetic nature of content is easy to tell. And that's why it will be a big market, but it will not be the best of the best market yet. I am a storyteller. I tell stories about brands and I get people to be interested in brands. It's a commercial job because you want them to prefer your brand, grow market share profitably.
You're watching the Brandwallahs. I am Krishnakumar and we are in conversation with Mr. Shubhranshu Singh, Chief Marketing Officer of Tata Motors Commercial Vehicles. Shubhranshu, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the Brandwallahs.
Thank you, Krishna, and thank you to TV News 9.
There's lots of talk now about the India consumption story. India consumption story is very important. The key factor driving economic growth in India, the fact that Indians are going out there consuming everything from cars to movies to other things. Consumption story is the fulcrum of India's growth. But now there is talk of how there are cracks emerging in India's consumption story. Lots of talk about how car sales are not what they used to be, say, 3 years ago. The kind of boom they witnessed post-pandemic. Where do you stand on this matter? What is your take on the India consumption story? Is it weakening or is it as good as it was before?
No, look, in the commercial vehicles business, we are organically linked to the underlying rate of growth in the GDP. We see fantastic growths across the board. In fact, the entire small commercial vehicles business is about within the city deliveries or short distance deliveries. That's directly linked to consumption. We are very, very optimistic about the growth in consumption. At the upper end of our portfolio, there's a lot of sale that goes into core sectors, infrastructure, road building, mining, etc. We are very optimistic. I am personally seeing whatever I can in terms of consumer trends, sentiment surveys, etc. There is great buoyancy. We must also remember that, the iteration that happens in a consumer's life is also about cross-category dynamics. Today, if I'm looking to buy a computer for my son, I'm also thinking, should I replace my geyser or should I plan for a holiday abroad? So it's a share of the wallet that you're also competing for just as much as you're competing for share of the mind. And when consumers have more things to spend on, naturally they will make rational choices and prioritize. I think India is the world's largest economy growing at the fastest rate. As in, amongst the largest economies, we are the fastest growing economy. We are already crossed 3 trillion. We are number 3 economy in number 5 economy, heading to a number 3 economy globally. And let's not forget purchasing power parity. So I think the future is exceedingly bright.
Okay, so no doubts on the India consumption story. I wanted to ask you, what, according to you, is the buzz as far as the world of advertising and marketing is concerned? It could be a campaign that you saw recently, or an advertisement you saw recently, or a trend that you see emerging. What do you think is the big buzz, the next big thing as far as advertising and marketing is concerned?
The evidence is very clear about that. I think one is this AI-driven personalization. Artificial intelligence is going to speed up on both creativity on the origin end and also on the deployment end. You got to have great liquid, you got to have great pipes, right? So you're able to create content much faster and personalize it for Krishna or Shubhranshu much faster. So that AI personalization is here to stay. The second big thing is people want to talk, listen, and communicate with people like them. They are not engaging advertisers as much as they're engaging other people. My son doesn't order pizza from a new place till he checks out the ratings. So there is a massive collaboration indirectly happening between consumer communities, and we must stay engaged and relevant in those consumer communities. And the third thing that I've already mentioned is shorter, faster, leaner, and more cost effective. That's the way the content world is engaging the world at large.
On the other end of the spectrum, what do you think is actually overhyped in the world of advertising and marketing, and hence is actually quite blah? Tell us one thing. Again, it could be a trend or it could be a campaign that you saw recently which you thought was quite blah.
Well, I would refrain from commenting on campaigns, but I will say, without contradicting myself, AI-driven content is also a bit blah, because at the end of the day, the primacy is of the idea of human creativity, and AI is a speed tool. AI is great epiphany, but it may or may not be great content. So the synthetic nature of content is easy to tell, and that's why it will be a big market, but it will not be the best of the best market yet. The second thing is purpose. I think all the brands jumped into it. Again, I'm blessed to be with Tatas who can evidence that they walk the talk. But generally, if you're not walking the talk, don't talk. This thing about every brand needing to have a teary-eyed global purpose and having a purpose arc, I think people are a little jaded with that.
Understand from you as a chief marketing officer, how do you market electric vehicles to consumers? It's easy to say electric vehicles are the future, but consumers have to buy them in the present. So how do you market something like EV? What is the communication strategy that you go with?
Well, electrification is not a trend, it's a reality. The future may not be equally distributed, but it's here. Now, you have to have the most important thing in marketing electric vehicles is challenging the myths, explaining to people, making sure frequently asked questions are attended to in great detail. People have anxieties about the range, about load carrying capabilities, about charging infrastructure. But the most important bedrock of this is trust. And I am blessed to work with a brand that has humongous trust and love of people across this country and the world, as a matter of fact. So when Tata Motors says, we have an electric vehicle that works just right for you, people take us at our face value and are willing to explore and lean in and learn more. And then, of course, there are a variety of electric vehicle customers. There are those who are in it for sustainability-related reasons. The cost of operations is very, very much cheaper than other fuels. And by the way, in this Auto Expo, we are also showcasing hydrogen, electric, internal combustion engine. We are showcasing electric vehicles, also LNG. So the whole gamut of powertrains and fuel options are on display. But coming back to electric, explain to them the benefits, explain to them the features, engage them. There are those who are going to be the early pioneers, and they become the vocal ambassadors for pulling in many more people. So we are engaged on all of these fronts. A very important constituent is the influencer, because all OEMs will market their product and put their best foot forward, but when a neutral editorial content comes in, then it becomes very, very credible and engaging.
let's then talk about also marketing your vehicles to a low attention span consumer. I mean, we are in the age of Gen Z consumers. In fact, some say we're already in the age of Gen Alpha consumers. But you're essentially marketing it to low attention span consumers, be it Gen Z or otherwise. So how do you make sure that your communication finds resonance with the consumer?
So, Krishna, as you know, last year was the first year that global advertising revenues came to $1 trillion. And out of that, $600+ billion were purely digital. So the evidence is very much on the table. Digital advertising is here to stay. Algorithmically injected content and advertising is here to stay. The overwhelming trend is towards thumb stoppers. Short bursts of content which explore many facets of a proposition. Short content, personalized content, and that is the way the world is engaging. It's not that consumers are going digital, lifestyles are going digital. Anybody who has a cell phone today, a smartphone, is a walking, talking studio. You see, an ordinary electric iron today has more computing power than NASA had when it sent a man to the moon in 1969. So how can the world of marketing be the same as it was in 1969? You see, this is the reality, and we must adapt to reality and stay ahead of the change that is coming upon us.
Talking about consumers, I had to ask you this. I mean, you're somebody who markets commercial vehicles. Who are your target customers? Are they also Gen Z customers? Who buys commercial vehicles most in India?
Yeah, I mean, we have all modalities in the commercial vehicles business to consumers, small commercial vehicles very often sold to individuals. We are providing entrepreneurial opportunities and employment to millions of youth. Then there is business to business, which is the gamut of heavy commercial vehicles, buses. There is also business to consumers. So, for example, a bus we may sell to a state road transport corporation, but dozens of customers travel in it every day, so they have a point of view about the brand as well. So we have all kinds, but I would say our typical poster child of go-to consumer would be a young male, typically 18 to 35 years of age, across the country, rural, urban. We are marketing to all. You can draw with it, I can write a poem with it, somebody else will write an application with it. The pen's purpose is to write. AI tools, even the more cutting edge tools on creativity, say Stable Diffusion. I am a storyteller. I tell stories about brands and I get people to be interested in brands. It's a commercial job because you want them to prefer your brand, grow market share profitably.
Clearly, as far as advertising is concerned, social media marketing and digital marketing is now taking the lead, for in the auto space, which always traditionally relied upon the traditional, forms of media. It is increasingly moving towards, social media marketing, and in fact, beginning with social media and going to other traditional forms of media. What exactly is your social media strategy, so to speak?
Well, firstly, let's look at the demographics. India is the most populous nation on the planet. It is also the youngest nation on the planet. 400 million Indians, 40 crore Indians are less than 20 years of age. And they are digital natives. They were born in a digital era. And so therefore, recognizing that reality, the media mix also has to evolve, which is not to say that traditional above the line media, linear TV is very large, and there's nothing like linear TV in creating reach and concurrency. However, there are people who are looking at print for newsy reasons, for impact related reasons. There are outdoors. Outdoors is a very big medium for us because our customer traffic is on the roads. And so therefore outdoor becomes a very big medium. But coming to digital specifically, digital with smart identification, because we are living in an algorithmic era. When you open your Gmail in the morning, the way the mails are sorted, the feed that comes to you from Twitter, how Spotify arranges your song list, or how Netflix gives you thumbnails. This is all algorithmically driven, knowing who Krishna is and who the millions of other people like Krishna are. And so it's massively crowdsourced but hyper-personalized. That beauty of statistical crowdsourcing combined and married to hyper-personalization and served to you constantly. That is the beauty of the digital envelope, which nobody else can rival today.
Are you telling me that you could be starting your marketing campaign in social media and then moving back to other traditional forms, say print or TV, or sometimes even skip that, depending upon the product that you're marketing?
As a matter of fact, in the last 2 years, we have made an overwhelming shift in two directions. One, influencer-related content, and the other is purely performance advertising through digital means. And digital across the board now is about 20% or thereabouts of our end sales. So 20% of end sales come from purely digitally sourced leads, and that's a massive number.
On that note, I also wanted to ask you, talk about AI in particular. So much of talk about AI, how can AI replace human creativity? Tell us in terms of how is AI reshaping marketing, both from creation point of view as well as execution point of view.
Look, I have a pen in my pocket, right?
Okay. You do?
Where is my pen? Yes.
Let's find that pen.
Here is my pen.
Okay.
You can draw with it. I can write a poem with it. Somebody else will write an application with it. The pen's purpose is to write. AI tools, even the more cutting-edge tools on creativity, say Stable Diffusion, it does everything that a Photoshop does, but it can do it at an accelerated pace. It can teach itself. The difference between software and AI is AI by definition is dynamic. It iterates and teaches itself.
Okay.
So it's a very profound and powerful tool. But at the end of the day, I am not a doomer, I'm a boomer. I don't think AI is going to collaborate and put marketers out of work. I think AI is going to collaborate with the marketers, but marketers need to have the sophistication to be able to engage, tweak, turn, and look at ideas, right? If I tell you a joke in Finnish, you are not going to laugh. If I tell you a joke in Mandarin, you're not going to laugh.
Okay.
But if I tell you a bad joke in Hindi or Tamil or whatever you speak, you will not laugh either. So it's not about the nature, it's about the cognizance, the context. In the world of marketing, content is king, but context is King Kong. And I don't think AI gets context as well.
We are in the age of AI redefining marketing and advertising. Let's put the time machine over here. Take the clock back. What is the one iconic advertisement or marketing campaign or brand campaign that you sort of get inspired by even today? As the chief marketing officer of Tata Commercial Vehicles, what is that one or two, maybe, I don't know. Tell us that campaign or that initiative that really resonates with you.
Yeah, I'm a newness guy, so I get fascinated by advertisements. It's my life's passion. But I must say, 1984, Apple's ad 1984, which Ridley Scott directed, is a fabulous one in a time. It changed the way Super Bowl advertising happened. It was referring to Orwell's dystopian 1984, where everybody's become an automaton and then there is an act of rebellion, and it really established the Macintosh and therefore the Apple as a rebellion brand. I think it's an iconic piece of advertising. But I like several others, At one time, Benetton's Shockvertising, United Colors of Benetton, was a fabulous expression of the visual impact that simple images can have. And the campaign for Real Beauty from Dove is another great campaign. Surf Excel's Dirt is Good campaign was great.
Daag Achhe Hain.
Daag Achhe Hain. And I had the privilege to work at Star when we did the Mauka campaign, which became, it really teased people. There was an element of Schadenfreude and, how you perk the interest of the other fan community, but it was done in a very playful, lovable manner, and so it has remained relevant, and many mutations of it have happened thereafter. So it's about the power of the idea and how you do the storytelling that makes a campaign great.
Let's now talk about your job. You've marketed everything from, sports to commercial vehicles. If I were to ask you, what is the one thing about your job that you absolutely love the most? So when you begin your work day, when you walk into office, or maybe before that or after that, what is the one thing about your job that you look forward to the most, the one thing about your job that you absolutely love?
I am a storyteller. I tell stories about brands. And I get people to be interested in brands. It's a commercial job because you want them to prefer your brand, grow market share profitably, boost sales.
Whether you're doing commercial vehicles or not, the job is commercial.
I've done financial services, I've done Alcobev, I've done sports broadcasting, I have done motorcycles, commercial vehicles, and for many, many years, fast-moving consumer goods. But the plot remains the same. It's about understanding consumers, having relevant insights, telling stories around that insight. And that's the job, the creativity of it. Looking at a script, looking at a storyboard, imagining a visual, and then allowing it to live and breathe 360 degree, that excites me as much today as when I first walked in 1999 May into Hindustan League.
Okay. Again, the opposite of it all. Shubhranshu, what is the one thing about your job that you absolutely don't like? And if I may use the word you hate about your job the most, the one thing that in a work day, that you're like, oh man, I don't want to do that. What would that be?
Well, as you age, I guess you develop tolerance. So I think there are many parts which are part of the process of getting to that storytelling. Everybody thinks if I had half an hour more on the exam, I could have aced it, right? Deadlines are one such thing. Deadline is a great liberator of creative energy, but it also compresses it. Okay. So if you had more time, if you could just sit on a hammock, or sit in the rain and imagine possibilities. Unfortunately, work life doesn't happen like that. The other is the acknowledgement that creative must give to an Excel sheet, but very often it's not reciprocated. Excel sheet wallahs don't come to creative wallahs and say, hey, look at my Excel sheet and see whether you like it or not. But creative wallahs very often have to go to Excel sheet wallahs and say, look, my creative will deliver what your Excel sheet has on it. So I think it's that and the routineness of it, meetings and process and iterations. You want to land and get to the end creative faster.
In that sense, I wanted to ask you this because, there is lots of talk about how marketing spends across platforms. We live in the multi-platform age, although many say that we've always been in the multi-platform age with radio, print and TV. Now, we've got digital added to it. In the multi-platform age, how are you choosing to spend across different platforms? Are you consciously cutting down on, say, something like print and spending more on something like digital marketing?
No, look, I'm very clear. There is a well-proven marketing mix modeling that every marketer must understand and appreciate. We have a partner agency, Avas, that does our media for us. We look at performance media and brand media, and we look at the combination of the two. Performance media has clear metrics and attribution, right? How much am I able to influence? Am I able to reach? What's the click-through rate? What's the view-through rate? And so on and so forth. Then eventually, how many leads got generated? How many leads out of those leads got converted to end retails? Then there is the performance plus pack, which is about brand. Am I able to tell my story in an engaging manner? Am I looking like I'm serious about this? Am I looking like I'm being able to create impact? And really horses for courses. Whatever floats your boat, we have done print advertising, outdoor advertising, a lot of performance advertising. We do television from time to time.
I'm sure you're doing it, but my only doubt is that is the spends changing, across platforms, and how does it change? Is it based on the product or
It depends on a host of things. What we are launching, seasonality, the need of the applications. If you're selling, tippers which are going to be in road construction, we have to go to key accounts. We have to go to strategic accounts. We have to showcase our applications, effectiveness. But if you're selling a mini pickup, a mini truck or a pickup, you could be addressing people at large. So therefore, the impact of that medium and whether storytelling can be done effectively. We have invested a great deal in creating customer data platforms, being able to reach out more effectively, being able to create cohorts, upsell and cross-sell. That digital sensibility naturally makes us predisposed to do more on digital because we are making those investments. But really, we are still very much a full 360, not the least of which is below the line promotions and field actions. This is also a great on-the-ground event where now we are doing a television interview. Many other influencers are putting stuff purely on digital media.
All right, we will leave it at that. Shubhranshu, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here.
Thank you, Krishna, and thank
Congratulations.
you for being here.